Okay, welcome back to Guitar Geek Aroma. This is episode 3. We're going to be looking at the E minor pentatonic scale. That little introduction there was a very simple solo constructed out of one scale that we're going to learn today, and this is the shape that most guitar players start learning right at the beginning of their playing. Let's jump straight into looking at which notes you use on the guitar, and we'll explain a little bit about why they work and how they work as we go. Right, we're going to start with the low strings, the strings nearest you, and we're going to start with the open E string. I'm going to use my second finger to reach up to the 3rd fret of the E string and play that G note. Next, we're going up to the open A string, that's string 5, and then I'm going to play the 2nd fret on that string. Gives me a B note. I'm going to jump to the next string, it's an open D, 2nd fret, same string, is an E. Next string, open G, 2nd fret, gives us an A. The next string, string 2, it's an open B string. Then the 3rd fret on that string gives us a D note. Next, the open E string, and the 3rd fret gives us another G note. Now you'll notice I'm using different fingers for each fret. So here, what's comfortable for me is to use my 1st finger for any notes that are on the 2nd fret, and my 2nd finger for any notes that are on the 3rd fret. Here's that shape again. 0, 3, 0, 2, 0, 2, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 3. Once you get fairly comfortable with that shape, try running it backwards as well. Here we go. 3, 0, 3, 0, 2, 0, 2, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0. Now, in my right hand, I'm using alternate picking, but it doesn't matter too much when you're trying to get started with this shape. Just make sure that each note sounds very clear. The open strings should be very easy to get them to sound clear. When you're fretting notes, just make sure that your finger is right behind the fret wire and pinching pretty tight against the fretboard so that you can get a nice clear note. Let's look at that shape in both directions a little faster. Once you get fairly comfortable with that scale shape, you can run it down in both directions and straight away start to get some fairly musical sounds, but it is just a scale at this point. The next thing that we want to do with this scale is to be able to use it to solo. But before we get to that, what I would recommend is go to the backing track that's linked below, and just play that scale over the top of that backing track just to get used to how all the notes sound against the chords that we learned in the previous episode. Okay, let's see what that scale sounds like over the backing track. First I want you to listen to me, and then I want you to have a try at playing in time and going through this scale against the chords. That may be a little bit fast, so let's try at half speed. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. practice that a few times until you're fairly confident getting around the neck and running up and down. Okay, now I want you to try and copy me. I'm going to come up with some very simple little phrases and see if you can listen to me play it and then you play it back. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. You try. Again. Your turn. The middle strings. You try. Again. Okay, now I'm going to try some longer phrases. It doesn't matter if you get it exactly like I'm playing it, just use the notes out of the scale and play pretty much whatever you like using those notes. Here we go. Let's wait for the chords to start again. My turn first. 1, 2, 3, 4. Your turn. My turn. Your turn. Okay, very good. Alright, what you can do, and what I would advise you to do, is go ahead, have a look at the backing track, the links below, and just run this scale up and down until you feel very, very comfortable with it. And then try and make your own patterns out of the scale. If you link across to the next episode, we'll look in a bit more detail at making this scale sound musical and a bit more interesting. But first of all, just get your fingers used to playing these notes and running up and down the scale. Okay, keep playing. That's a lot to remember. Alright, I got it.
Okay, right. In this order, check out our links below, Guitar Gear Pro Armor, Eldritch Guitars. Like and follow our YouTube channel and find us on Facebook. Mm-hmm. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Good. Do you want me to write it? Yeah.